Hi everyone, I'm Newbeat and I'm here casting from Treaty 7 land in Alberta. I'm here with Aegis who's in Squamish territory and we're getting ready for what's looking to be a very interesting GOATS match coming up tonight.
Yeah, we got now an undefeated team coming into this. So what I think you've been more in touch with how this Ghost tournament has been working with us so far from Prospect. What are you expecting out of this?
Well, it's kind of a transitive property type situation. I got to see Prospects beat Press Q to win kind of handily last week on Friday with Athena. Yesterday, CC Vortex was able to beat Prospects. So, kind of by the trends of property, you think CC Vortex is going to run through a lot of these teams pretty easily, but you never know. DeCrew's sitting at 4-2, so they have they have won some games as well, and they might be able to put up a bit of a fight here.
That's kind of the fun thing about goats, especially is, if you tighten some stuff up, even over the course of a week, a lot can change. Even a simple swap can make all of the difference.
Yeah, and sorry, I can't read. DeCrew's actually 2-2 right now, but hey, that's still a couple wins on the boards. So it looks like we're getting ready for our first map here as we take a look at the map set. And first on the list today will be Ilios. And this one is always very intriguing because you do have the environmental kills, but with goats, you don't quite see them as much as it looks like we're going to be starting off on well.
Goats on well is always really interesting. Like, well is generally a very boop heavy map. Um, without goats, you'll see a lot of Farah, a lot of Hammond. Some maybe I would say like off meta picks. However, with goats, you don't usually see, or I guess you hope not to see a lot of Reinhardt on well, especially. However, it's just when everyone is basically forced to run a Reinhardt. It's going to get real interesting here. So we are going to be looking at Froggy Bear and TARDIS to, as usual, in that Lucio, we're going to be looking for those engages and disengages. However, now there's just kind of added element of like, is someone going into the well?
Yeah, and with those Lucios as well, that speed boost can be such an important tool to use when you want to pick that engage, walk in on the other team, and get right in there and start doing damage. As we're going to have our first engage of the map coming up here shortly. Mathlete and CC Vortex are rotating around to the right-hand side, trying to get a better position on the objective. It looks like they might have split off Choyobin on the Reinhardt and trying to get in there doing some damage, and they have done that successfully as Choyobin gets taken out of the fight very quickly, and now Mathlete getting into the back with a charge. Avaris was able to knock Choyobin into the well in the end, so there's one boop kill already, and this is a very quick first team fight coming in for CC Vortex.
Nice isolation there, and like they're gonna have to play a little bit tighter if they're gonna want to win these fights. It really is. It's looking like CC Vortex just seemed a little bit more cohesive there. Maybe some shot calling. Looks like, oh, we might have Fern making some sneaky DMAC, and there it is.
There's a great DMAC kill coming in from Fern. You never expect the baby diva to come in like that and just smash you like a pancake. Now DQuilis going over the edge, trying to reset with the rest of their team, as that is a clutch play coming out from the DMAC diva there.
So that's obviously a huge difference as we see the 250 damage coming out
Now,
from the
now
diva.
Mathlete is hiding in the back.
Mathlete's doing it. Oh no, he's gonna do it to him.
Oh, there's a huge shot there coming in from Mathlete. You'd never expect it coming in from behind like that, and now they're just cleaning up. Mathlete using that hammer like a mop as they are just wiping the floor with the crew so far.
So we've I feel like we've talked a lot about bumper shatters. I don't know if there is quite a bumper shatter, quite like having that goats meta. This is when we saw the bumper shatters coming out when Runaway had made their way into the Overwatch League as the Vancouver Titans, and that was as bumper shatter as it got from Mathlete.
And now Mathley coming back in again. We had a grab come out there from Demonetize, and that locks everybody up on the side of the crew. Another shatter coming in from Mathley, getting into the back line, punishing the Winston with the charge. Choi Hoban falls, and that is all she wrote here for the first map. There's only 5% left, so somebody from the crew is going to have to try and touch. It looks like Froggy Merritt on the Lucio, feeling Froggy getting into the back line, but just can't make it onto the point, and that'll be the first sub-map of the day going to CC Vortex.
Bit of a wake-up call here for the crew. They're going to have to play a little bit more cohesively, obviously check those corners. Mathley getting away with absolute murder for that map. And this all started, it kind of snowballed at the beginning with maybe some miscommunication coming in. They got a little bit split, a little bit isolated. This, with the well, you are more likely to see this. You know, there's a giant hole in the middle of the map. So coming into this one, we're probably not going to see as many of those communication mistakes. The points a little bit more, I guess, just normal.
Jason, that was the perfect description of well, or the most perfect description I've ever heard, by just saying there's a hole in the middle of the map. Like, you can't debate that. There absolutely is. As we're getting ready for another engagement here as the crew and CC Vortex come together once more. Zarya bubbles coming up from both sides to get those Zaryas charged up. Here and goes. That is a huge amount of damage coming out from those off tanks. And now moving over towards the point, it looks like Noah Shark's going to get DMAC. Mathley went for the shatter, but paid for it with his life. But it doesn't matter, as CC Vortex has the follow-up required to take this point again. And with the way this match is going so far, it's already looking a bit dire for the crew.
Ricky is going to have the rally up, and you know what? Pretty much almost across the board, they're doing a little bit more, a little bit better with their support ultimates. Kitty Cat Paw coming up to the Transcendence, where Red Battle Axe still lagging behind at 70%, even with that kill.
And now with Red Battle Axe getting some damage in, they're already up to 93%, so that Transcendence will come in soon. But there is the grab before the Transcendence is online. And now with the ultimates coming out, this is the Q party of old for GOATs. Everybody press Q. We'll see what happens. Mathley and TARDIS getting back in on the kill feed as they combine to get rid of Choyobin's Noah's Diva. Now Choyobin gets in and takes down Mathley, but that's going to be too little too late, as once again CC Vortex is going to hold on to the point here. And this is looking tough. There's just so many good plays coming out from CC Vortex. So far the Reinhardt, but also really their whole support line is kind of crushing it as well.
Got both off tanks up on the high ground here. Oh, it looks like Demonetize almost gets punished, but instead Choyobin off the map. So without their Reinhardt, this has got to be a full reset here, as Froggy Bear gets taken out to the charge of Mathlete, and Mathlete also finishes off Ricky. So this is tough now. So Choi has swapped over to this Winston. I don't know, they're taking so much damage coming in.
And Choyobin tried this last map as well, switching to the Winston near the end to try and get a little bit of more mobility, maybe utilize some of this high ground. But right now CC Vortex has moved in, set up their furniture, and they're starting to pay rent on this point as they're getting very close to the end here, 95%. So once again, it is going to be up to somebody from the crew to get into touch. A nice pin coming in from Mathlete as they drop down from the top and take down Ricky. So that is a large amount of healing out of the fight for the crew as their brig has gone down. The Soundberry comes out onto the point from Froggy Bear and now followed up by a self-destruct, but that isn't able to claim any victims. And with the Soundberry, the other side from TARDIS, this is going to transport them to the win once again. Shatter comes in from Mathlete, but they don't need it. They don't need anything else right now. The first map of the day is going to go to CC Vortex.
Convincing win there. I want to see the crew probably rally their mental, as we are going to see, speaking of rallies, with Avaris here having no trouble dealing with just about everyone. That's a quadruple kill as they managed to finish off the poor Zenyatta. Oh man, Kitty Cat Paw with 8,200 healing done on the Zenyatta. That is, and it's only 22%.
Yeah,
That's so much damage.
that's going to be a lot of Transcendence healing coming in there too if you're doing that much with a Zenyatta. So we will be looking at getting into our next map, but looking back on this first map here on Ilios, you can really see it coming out on Goats how teams really need to be well polished with their ability usage, with their ultimate usage, and just with their positionings and rotations. And so far, it looks like CC Vortex has got the better of that fight.
Yeah, it started with being split off early on well, and they just never really seemed to recover there. Um, I don't know. It's there. It's gonna have to be big here. We're gonna be going into a 2CP map next, and this can be really key in goats.
For sure. And it's very important to watch as well, when you're defending. It seems like a lot of times with goats, unless you're coming in all at once as an attacking team, it's a lot easier to hold on with the defense as you just have more sustain than you would in, say, a regular 2-2-2 comp. And so we'll see which map we want to go for next. Uh, and if the crew can start to turn this around.
It seemed like they're really struggling. Kind of aiming towards obviously maybe feeling a little bit more comfortable on this Winston. So I would like to see them start pushing this towards perhaps a a more vertically inclined a map set here.
And so it looks like the map is being chosen, and so far it looks like it's going to be Horizon Lunar Colony coming out next. That seems to be the pick, so we'll confirm that in a moment. But it definitely looks like the other option was Paris, and I mean, I've talked about this before on stream as Paris gets X'd out. I don't want to see Paris. I don't really want to play Paris. We can just skip it and go straight to Horizon Lunar Colony because Paris is definitely one of not a crowd pleaser of a map.
No, I feel like if I was in this game and I see Paris, I would probably just like leave out of habit. It's just like, no, we're not doing this. No one's doing this. Horizon, I get it. It's a tough map. It's not the best map in Overwatch. I don't have the auto leave. I at least play it out on Horizon.
I don't think it's the best map in Overwatch. It's not the worst map in Overwatch because that's Paris. But I think there are some interesting bits to Horizon. Just how much high ground there is throughout the map is maybe a little bit more than a lot of the 2CPs. As you can see, that big walkway kind of on the second floor there. That is something that attackers can really utilize. Going up these stairs, I don't think you can find a bigger and also narrower set of stairs in the game than this one on Horizon Lunar Colony. And as always, if you're feeling adventurous, you can go on a little bit of a spacewalk.
This is really really interesting. I'm trying to remember goats in space. That what a sentence. I would really like to see the crew utilize this high ground. They seem a little bit more comfortable using these more mobile heroes, whereas Vortex kind of sticking to the plain old goats and seems to have no problem executing all of these plays that are really required in goats. Like your Zarya is pretty much your main source of damage, I would say. It's strange having like your Zarya and Zenyatta as your two, like, yes, this is our damage. But that's kind of that's the reality for goats. With CC Vortex coming out the door here, again, just sticking to that Zen Goats format.
Yeah, this is what I would like to call Goats Classic for the most part. However, the crew does have an Ana on the map, so a little bit of a wrinkle in compositions as we head into this first fight in Horizon Lunar Colony. It looks like CC Vortex is trying to rotate around the left-hand side, so they are leaving themselves vulnerable to a little bit of damage coming in from the high ground. But now it looks like the crew is going to have to rotate in kind around onto the point. Dequillis on the Roadhog trying to get in there to do some damage, but they get damaged the most as they get taken down. None of their HP remaining. Demonetized was able to finish off that kill. And now it looks like CC Vortex is getting back onto the high ground, demonetized, charged up, large and in charge, doing a lot of damage, finishes off Froggy Bear there as well. And that's going to be the first point being taken very quickly for CC Vortex. They have over 6 minutes remaining in the time bank.
We've all been there on Horizon. This is a map that you can lose in the first 30 seconds, or you can hold this second point for, 15, 20, half an hour, minutes. This all kind of started with Dequillis missing that initial hook that they were trying to catch as the rotation came through, but it's already looking really out of control.
A smart move coming in from CC Vortex as they initiated with the Transcendence from Red Battle Axe's Zenyatta, and this looks like it could be all over but the crying. Froggy Bear and Ricky trying to get back onto the point on those supports, but they get taken down extremely fast, and now that cap has been made. The full attack on Horizon Lunar Colony for CC Vortex done with 5:27 left in the time bank.
This is a rough time bank. Horizon, the first point is almost a foregone conclusion. You kind of aim to just, eat a bit of that time off on point A and then really crush it down at point B. So getting snowballed, a lot of these assault maps, there's always that danger of being snowballed, and we saw it there in spades. 5:27 is a ridiculous time bank. The crew's going to have to really come out swinging here on their attack if they would like to even keep this close. Obviously, with the new changes to Assault, I say new, but they're probably a year or two old at this point, bring it down to 2 minutes. So if both teams are get more than a 2-minute time bank, the team with less time gets their time brought down to 2 minutes, and the team with more time is brought down accordingly. So there is a chance here. The crew comes out if this turns into a bit of a barn burner. We've all been there on those assault maps that end like 6-5, especially before that 2-minute change. There's a real chance that it's still very winnable for the crew.
Well, every win has to start with one step, and the crew is coming out of spawn. And a very quick engage coming in from CC Vortex. And Choyobin gets a massive first pick onto Mathlete, so that is the main tank out of the fight. And with no mercies on the map here in the Scouts meta, there is no resurrection on the map. And now it looks like going forward are the crew, and they're going to get onto this point here and try and start to take this quickly as they can. We'll see how much of a recontest CC Vortex wants to do here, now that they've lost a couple players and have to wait for those respawns.
This is exactly what the crew needs. They're going to need this fast A cap. And we are seeing, there's not a lot of ultimates on the table, kind of across the board. Red Battle Axe, probably the closest along with Ricky. If they're able to...
No, it looks like it's not going to be a very good recontest coming in from CC Vortex, as they waited until the last possible minute, gave up as much control point or capture progress as they needed to get a good recontest in. And then right as they come back in, they just get those eliminations fast and furious, and they're able to stabilize here and burn a lot of time off this clock.
So now, it seemed like not a big deal, but with Red Battle Axe having this Transcendence, they're going to be able to use this pretty offensively if they need to hold on to this. Choyobin does have the Shatter ready to go, but here it comes.
And Choyobin with the big Shatter comes in, but there is a counter self-destruct coming out as well from Fern. Now trying to get back into their mech. It doesn't matter. Mathlete did so much work there on that Reinhardt. Red Battle Axe is doing a great job of enabling that Reinhardt to get in there and to finish these players off. And now we're down to 2 minutes and 9 seconds on the time bank. And once again, the crew's got to go back to the drawing board here and try and figure out a way through this defense.
So they're not even able to match this time bank, kind of, no matter what. Even if they finish point A in 0 seconds, and B in 0 seconds, as Mathlete just charges on in.
Mathlete was hiding outside the door in space and came back in for that cheeky charge. Wasn't able to find anything, but while they're causing all this havoc for the crew, the rest of the team is able to get in and take people out. Dequilla, sorry, in space, nobody can hear you scream as you have to go back to spawn once again. and Fern finishes off Noah Shark. So that's another one fight for the crew. And once again, you got to really hope that this has to be the fight for the crew. They have 3 ultimates online, and you want to see them use them well here.
Red Battle Axe already 70% to another Transcendence, and this is such a strange setup here from CC Vortex. They're so split.
And here comes the grab out from Dequilas, trying to get in there and start this fight off on a good foot. Transcendence came out from Kitty Cat Ball, which allowed the team to go forward. You can see that Transcendence being used for initiation once again. Now the Trans comes up from the other side, as well as a self-destruct from Fern, but that does not claim any victims until Fern is able to take down Kitty Cat Ball with a critical hit. And now with Demonetized Fallen, this could be the opening for the crew as they get back onto the point. They still have both the Diva and the Reinhardt alive on the point, and the rest of the team is coalescing around them. Choyobin has worked their way back up to another Shatter to try and help with some of these stragglers that are coming back in. It looks like Mathlete wanted to go in and try and fight this, but they are isolated and they will be eliminated. So that will be objective A, going to the crew, and they have to hustle and try and snowball B here if they want to get a decent time.
They're going to need to take it on this fight. No real ultimates up here for CC Vortex, and the Shatter and Rally up, and we see the Rally come up right away.
The Shatter came out from Choyobin, but it mostly got blocked by Mathlete, but it created enough space for the crew to walk forward once again and try and get into the back line. And now with TARDIS going down as Dequilas finishes him off, this could be the snowball that the crew is looking for. They have to deal with a lot of close respawners now, as the spawn advantage is so heavy in the favor of the defending team. And now a grab bomb coming out, going back to 2017, and that's going to take out 3, and with Mathlete taking out Froggy Bear as well, that's going to be a reset for the crew. They were able to get a tick out of that fight as they got up to 50.8% capture percentage, but they're going to need a whole lot more if they want to stay alive in this map.
There's so much riding on Noah and Fern here. Obviously, the Zaryas are building these grabs just disgustingly quickly. They have to be on top of trying to eat these up. There's not really much else to eat, to be honest, besides these grabs, as again, Vortex just dropping everyone so quickly.
Mathlete was able to get in there quickly and take out one of the members of the crew, and that spelled disaster for them, as once they were down a member, they just slowly bled away the rest of them. And now the timing's down to a minute 45. It looks like there's not a ton in the ult bank for the crew right now, and they're going to have a tough time walking in on this, as CC Vortex has a Shatter and a Sound Barrier ready to go. Choyobin tries to go for a charge, but gets stunned down. And now Mathlete just going in again and swinging and finding everybody. Look at that play coming in from the Reinhardt. A lot of assists coming out from Red Battle Axe on the Zenyatta as well. And with Demonetized doing so much damage on the Zarya, these fights are so quick for CC Vortex.
So we have seen Kitty Cat Paw move over to the Moira, hoping a little bit, obviously for a little bit more of that sustain. Obviously, it didn't really help them there on that last one.
Choyobin went for a pin, got stunned, and then got counter-pinned, and Fern was able to take down 2 with the bomb and get 1 with the remake. And once again with Red Battle Axe finding another elimination onto No Shark's Pilot Diva. This is going to be very close to the end. 45 seconds left to go. The crew's going to look for one more reset here, get all their team back together, and come in and just hope for the best. But with 4 ultimates on the side of CC Vortex, this is going to be walking right into the belly of the beast.
Oh no, it was 4-4, but that Shatter.
The flank Shatter. However, Choyobin got a very good Shatter of their own in, and now using this Coalescence, they weren't able to get enough done as the Trans got popped by Red Battle Axe, and now with Demonetized once again fully charged on that Zarya, doing a ton of damage. This is going to be it for Horizon Lunar Colony with only 10 seconds left. The crew's going to try and do what they can to get onto this point, but Choyobin on the Wrecking Ball getting displaced by the Brig, they are able to touch, which will trigger overtime. And now they've got to really hope for those reinforcements to come in very quickly, as Choyobin has already been taken out on the point, and it looks like it's going to be tough for anyone else here on the crew to touch point, and in fact it will be impossible as they can make it, and CC Vortex goes up 2-0 in the series.
That's a tough way to go out there. Almost 5.5 minutes versus not even taking that second point, only the first tick. Mathlete you know, obviously a lot getting done here, and they just, even without the Moira, there's just so many resources going into them to keep them up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break here as it is halftime in this Prospect Esports Showdown GOATS tournament, but we'll be back right after the break, so don't touch that dial. Hello, and we are back. New beat here with Aegis as we're getting ready for our third map of the day in this Prospect eSports Showdown GOATS tournament. This match between Decrew and CC Vortex. You can see the score on your screen right now. It's been 2-0 for CC Vortex. They have made quick work of the first two maps. So hopefully in our break, Decrew was able to get in, maybe strategize a bit differently, and maybe we'll see a better showing here on Kings Row.
We've seen it in other tournaments we've casted. The halftime break can mean everything. Whether it's just rallying and getting everyone together, or holding your ground. It is easy to maybe get complacent during this halftime. It's pretty two convincing wins here from CC Vortex. So if they let their guard down, this will be the opportunity for the crew to really come through and come on top of it. This is a map that lends itself well to these tank lines, especially. It's a big Rhine Zari map to begin with, and we are seeing the crew come out immediately on with this Rhine to begin with. So they're opting not to go for the mobile comp that they seemed perhaps a little bit more comfortable than CC Vortex on.
And Mathley kind of debated us there. I thought they were going to go with the Wrecking Ball, and at the very last second, they switched back to the Reinhardt. So once again, it looks like we have mirror comps. Just the GOATS classic right now. Mathley gets stunned out, but they're still able to get in the back and take some swings. And Tardis is able to finish out Choyobin. And now the picks are coming in once again, thick and fast for CC Vortex, getting back onto the point. Look at that play coming out, demonetized, red battle axe of ours, all getting in there on the kill feed. And that's going to be a very quick first fight, so they're going to probably take point A. It looks like Mathley's actually trying to get up and hold as much space as they possibly can as the respawners are coming out the other door, has to make a bit of a turn around. And this is going to look rough as Mathley and Fern are trying to flank into the back, and now the shatter comes out from Mathlete, hits two onto the ground. Dequillis is taken out, and with Fern back to the mech as they get another remech kill, that's going to be a very quick fight. And now the payload has been unlocked, so that's going to get moving, and you can expect Mathlete to play this very aggressive as well once they're done emoting.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was a really aggressive defense there. Not even really allowing the crew to get out of their spawn, leaving just a single player on the point. And we are seeing it here as Mathlete has gone up, right up to the end of point B.
Yeah, and it looks like the first thing to come out will be the grab from Demonetized, and it's huge, but Kitty Cat Paw tries to counteract that by throwing out the Transcendent. Shatter comes in from Choyobin, isn't able to knock anyone down. Mathlete getting pushed back, but they are at 97% to Shatter, and they will use it the minute they get it, because they love putting those Shatters down. 99%. Rattle Battle Axe getting in. They're getting two with the Bloodthirsty Zenyatta into the backline. Shatter now comes out from Mathlete, gets a pin in there. They finish off Dequillis, and once again, that's a fight going to CC Vortex as his payload has not stopped moving yet. It's almost like CC Vortex is trying to set some sort of time bank record here on Kings Row.
And they're going to have the tools to walk this right over the line onto point C. Fern has the bomb, and Tardis is ready with the beat. And, Grav and Bob are coming up for Dequillis and Noah's Ark. And that's it. And they've already isolated Choi.
Demonetized with another grab as well. And Fern throws the bomb in. Demonetized didn't even really need a ton of help there. They were so charged up, but the bomb just ensures that everybody for the crew goes down. And now they're going to have to figure out which door they want to come out. Mathlete in the back, probably going to look for a charge. Looks like they're going to back up, maybe show some discretion here, and let the payload keep moving forward. And here we go. And here comes the
Fern trying to go for that sneaky deep remake kill again.
And Noah Shark's able to find one with the bomb, and this could be the point where they want to stabilize. But as I say that, Mathlete gets a huge shatter. However, Froggy Bear was able to get a massive sound barrier off that saved a lot of their team. Red Battle Axe is able to take down Choyobin, so that is the main tank out of the fight. And we've seen a lot today. When that Reinhardt goes down, it's never good for the team that is missing the Rhine. And CC Vortex is pushing right back in. Transcendence comes out once again from Kitty Cat Paw, and they had a rally as well from Ricky on the break to make sure that they had some little extra armor. And now Mathletes has already built themselves up to another shatter, trying to work through this shield. And a nice block coming in there from Choyobin. And however, it is not enough as that took care of their shield. And now Fern and Red Battle Axe and the rest of CC Vortex are getting in there and getting to the nitty gritty of it, getting onto the point. And now this payload's getting very close to the end. So there's only going to be one more recontest coming in from Decrew.
This is just so rough, and there's really nothing to work with. They have the bomb, and that's it. As the payload's just coming right, and they get grabbed right away.
Yeah, and Mathlete threw in a charger that knocked Choyobin into the foundry, which means that environmental kill is going to get the Rhino out of the fight very quickly. And now with the pin going onto No Shark, they're going to get rid of that Baby Diva once and for all. It looks like just a couple stragglers for Decrew on the card, trying to contest as long as they can, trying to whittle down this time bank to get it as low as possible. And back onto the point was Ricky on the Moira, but it was not to be as they get taken down. And round one is now complete. 3:29 left on the clock for CC Vortex.
That grab got eaten there right at the end as well. So that was kind of the last hope for Decrew's defense, was getting that grab in there. It's a big time bank to go up against. 3:29 on Kings Row. That's a ton of time.
It definitely is. I mean, it's been a dominating performance so far from CC Vortex. Like, they cannot be stopped. They are just ripping through Decrew time and time again. And the hope for Decrew has got to be dwindling now. You hope that they're still in it and going to try their best here to get a good time bank and see if they can extend this fight into extra innings here on Kings Row. But with the way these fights have been going, it's going to be a very tall order for them to get through this whole map.
Decrew coming out of this halftime, you know, we talked about it as we came back. Coming back and rallying is really important as a team. Having the defense go that way is really tough. If you're coming back and you're rallying and you're feeling good about it, 3:29 left is rough to try and continue that rally.
We'll see what they can do here as Demonetized gets taken down by Choyobin. What a fire start coming out from the Reinhardt. And this is going to be the go button for Decrew as they're going to get right in onto this point and start accruing that capture progress. Ricky in the back trying to keep their Reinhardt healed up as Choyobin is just pushing forward. Kitty Cat Paw gets an elimination onto Fern. And now with the numbers advantage, Decrew's just going to try and get as far forward as they can, buy as much space as humanly possible. Now Choyobin into the back, looking like a boss right now, throwing in those hammers. And with Mathlete and Demonetized going down and a couple supports following, this is going to be the first point taken. And now the payload is moving once again. Decrew has come out on this attack, and that looked perfect from them.
This is exactly what they need. If they're going to want to bring it to CC Vortex, they're going to need to play so aggressively, and they're going to need to match the speed of the game that CC Vortex has set. The pace that Vortex has set is blistering. And if they want to have any chance at turning this around, they're going to need to completely match that.
This payload has definitely found fifth gear for the moment. We'll see how much further Decrew can push it. Choyobin has a fire strike ready online. Kitty Cat Paul with the Transcendence in the back, trying to use this window to get an elimination. But the first pick goes to Demonetize as they take down Dequillis. And now the Trans comes out from Kitty Cat Paw to try and keep their team healed up as much as they can. And a huge bomb comes in from Fern. That finds three with Mathlete getting fire pick onto Noah Shark. That is going to be Decrew going all the way back to spawn. It looked so good for them at the start, and now they have just fallen apart once again, and they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and see what they can do to get through CC Vortex.
Dequillis does have the grab here. If they use it aggressively, there's no defensive ult. Oh, no.
The Demonetized was able to get their grab off first and caught a lot of Decrew in that ultimate. Kitty Cat Bot never even left the spawn door, stayed inside, was trying to get the orbs onto their team and the other by just staying in spawn and staying safe, but it's not working. And now this is a very forward hold coming in from CC Vortex.
Again, so spread out, just like we saw on Horizon. It's just the Diva, like, just standing outside the spawn door. And Matley does have the shatter. Here it comes.
Badly got the shatter in again to close in the backline, trying to use those bubbles to keep their team alive, but it's not going to be enough as the Virus is able to take down Choi Hoban, and a lot of eliminations are followed up there by CC Vortex. And once again, they're going to stick with this forward hold, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
3, almost 5 ultimates coming up here for the crew. Opting for a rotation over to the right. Is it going to work for them? It looks like they're just going to try and out-rotate Vortex here.
This is a smart move as they figured out that they can't just come out the doors. It wasn't working for them. And now the grab comes out from Dequillis and they're getting in there. There's a Transcendence out. And now with the bomb coming in, No Shark's able to take down TARDIS. So that is the Lucio back to spawn for CC Vortex. Mathlete also falls. So this is looking like a very successful fight so far from the crews. They're able to get back in. They are using a lot of ultimates, but it has to be done here to try and gain some space. Graviton Surge comes out from Demonetized. That might be a little bit late as they are down a couple members. Duquillis gets in, takes down Navarez, and then the Baby Diva as well. Kitty Cat Claw finishes off the Zarya, and that is the use of all their ultimates except for the window. But the crew is back again on the payload and moving forward.
It seemed like Demonetized had maybe thrown that grab away. However, Froggy Bear countered it with the beat, so now there's no defensive ults available here for the crew. And as you were saying, it's just the window. And right now, the window and the shatter from Choi are the only things on the table.
And they're going to start with the window here. And the strike through the window. Choi Open takes down TARDIS. That is a thing of beauty. Dequillis taking that space to get into the back line and taking down 2 more. And now it is all men moving forward for the crew as they are getting back into the back line. They take everything down. This has to be point B going the way of the crew. And that is a very nice play using that window into the fire strike.
That's kind of like the one hope you have. Having this Baptiste in here, obviously the ultimate definitely not as impactful as some of these other supports.
And now with the sports going, or sorry, with Noah's Shark going down first for the crew, this is looking bad. It looks like once again, CC Vortex has been able to throw a nice counter punch here and get right back on their feet, push the crew back to the spawn once again, and now there is still 2 minutes 50 on the time bank, so still some time to work with for the crew, but it is starting to dwindle a little bit.
Grabs available for both teams. Dequillis has got theirs. If they need to use this aggressively.
And the first grab once again comes out from Demonetized, and Fern's able to use the bomb and the remake to get another couple eliminations. Fern has got 3 remake kills today. They really know what they're doing with calling in those extra mechs after they get the damage from the self-destruct. Red Battle Axe finishes off a couple as well. And once again, the crew has to figure out a new plan of attack, as it seems like they do better when they can go for a bit of a different rotation. But once again, it looks like they're going out the middle. This time they've been able to find out Mathlete, who is ready for one of those bumper shatters, but it wasn't to be this time. Sound Barrier comes out from TARDIS, and that is doing so much work as the Graviton Surge came out from the other side from Dequillis. And now No Shock throwing the bomb, and they are able to find one, and using the window, they finish off Demonetized as well. Getting back into this fight, there's only 3 left on the card right now for CC Vortex. However, it's basically a 3-on-3 fight on the card right now. And even though they were able to get some picks there, Decrew's not able to push the payload as Dequillis goes down to Red Battle Axe. And once again, I think this is going to have to be a reset, and now it definitely is as a big shatter comes in from Mathlete. Choi Open, though, comes back in with 3.
That's huge. Picking these 3 up, I don't know. Oh, they doubled. Okay, so Froggy Bear and Kitty Cat Paw have doubled up on their support ults here. This is huge, and it could be disastrous for the crew. This is a 3v6 fight. They needed to hold on to those as Troy is needing to back up again. Dequillis is always using their grabs second, and we're seeing it again here as Demonetized brings one in.
Ricky was able to throw an Immortality Field out there, so even though Choyobin went down, they were able to keep some of their team alive for a little bit longer, but it doesn't matter as the eliminations are once again all coming in for CC Vortex. The left side of the kill feed filled with orange, and now with 40 seconds left, it's almost last chance saloon here for the crew, as they probably only have time for one more good fight.
It's gonna be a shatter.
Oh no, Mathlete comes. They were able to find Mathlete earlier when they were hiding in that exact same spot, but this time nobody checked their corners. They wanted to get closer to the payload, and Mathlete took advantage of their ignorance as they went in the back and threw down a huge shatter. Fern throws a bomb over the top to finish off Noah's Shark, and now there's only 15 seconds left to go. And this is looking like the end for Decrew as they have a long way to go on that payload and not a lot of time to do it. And that's if they can even touch. It looks like they are going to get onto the payload here. 2 seconds left. Choyobin goes down, and overtime isn't triggered as they weren't able to get onto the point as there was so much damage coming in from CC Vortex. And that is a huge 3-0 coming out for them. A very dominant performance.
Just huge. And so demonetized, just so aggressive with their ultimates. We saw them use their grabs early and often, just like here. Just there's nothing you can do, especially without a Reinhardt. You have the 2 Zarya bubbles, and you just kind of hope for the best, I guess. The Brig as well. You're kind of hoping for that shield. The Zarya on CC Vortex demonetized came in and was aggressively using these grabs before it could really be countered by the crew. I don't know. There was just so much aggression coming out. Every fight started with alts coming out from CC Vortex. They were choosing when and where these fights happened. They were engaging with ultimates, and their aggression, frankly, just paid off in spades.
It definitely did. They were able to push the tempo time and time again and take those fights on their own terms, which allowed them to get right in and just dismantle the crew over and over. And now I believe we do have in the chat a poll for MVP and MSP as well. So we're going to look and see who the most valuable player for CC Vortex is. And I guess you could say they're the MSP for them as well. And so let us know in the chat who you think that's going to be. Aegis, who do you think that's going to be?
Oh, I don't know. We've talked a lot about who's really excelling there. It looks actually like we lost, demonetized. They've already left the game. So for me, it's got to be demonetized. Although they have left the game. For our MVP, um, I don't know who the shot caller is. I guess regardless of really who we think, I feel like whatever in-game leader, whoever is shot calling for CC Vortex, whoever's calling these alts, or if there's not really a strong shot caller, then I have to hand it to our Zarya. They took over the game. They engaged consistently with ultimates. Um, there was no real apprehension towards using them, almost as soon as they got them. And even when both teams had similar ultimates available, we saw CC Vortex come in and engage with them. The crew seemed to kind of hold on. They held back their grabs. They held back their bombs, maybe for something bigger or waiting to see what happened. Um, they just when you're in moving in that sort of a dominant fashion, it's obviously easier to throw your ults in. But I have to say the communication was very clear from CC Vortex. Whether it was Mathlete standing, waiting for those bumper shatters, or waiting for those Diva remake kills like we saw in Horizon, or even consistently throughout the map. It was just a little bit more pass from the crew, not moving in as decisively, and it showed. It ended up being a very aggressive game from CC Vortex.
Absolutely. So, and you mentioned the shot calling as well. Like TARDIS on the Lucio, using that speed boost to get their team into position and to engage into fights. As we mentioned, the aggression coming out from CC Vortex really showed and really allowed them to win a lot of fights. So that's definitely a shout out to Tardis on the Lucio as well, making sure that their team is always in good position and almost catching the crew by surprise by getting in and using that speed boost to engage and engage quickly to make sure that the crew didn't have time to regroup and kind of get their win back before CC Vortex was just all over them again with that aggression.
That's a really good point. TARDIS, uh, when you are the Lucio, especially on a map like King's Row, these are relatively slow compositions. I would say outside of the Lucio, Lucio is really, um, it's really enabling all of this aggression, all of the speed that we saw from Mathlete and the rest of the tank line of Vortex.
And
If your Lucio is missing these speed boosts, it's over.
And speaking of Mathlete, they are the player, the MVP, the player of the game, if you will. Mathlete on that Reinhardt, just as you mentioned, bumper shatters and just bringing us back to the old days of the sneaky shatters. And it's one thing to go into the corners and hide and kind of leave your team exposed, especially in goats, but then land those shatters and wipe everyone and make sure you can take advantage of those. So a great job by Mathlete. Congratulations to them. We'll see congratulations to them. Sorry, we'll see if we can get them in here for a little bit of an interview as well, just to maybe shed some light on the strategy there when it came to those shatters and how they were engaging so quickly in this goats meta.
So we're gonna have our MVP of the crew as well. Looking like currently Kitty Cat Paw, which I'm gonna agree with here. Um, Kitty Cat Paw was a real bright spot, I would say, for the crew. Um, really getting the most out of that Zenyatta. We saw some really nice transcendence. Good use of the Discord and healing orbs. They were, obviously we even saw it in the cards.
Yeah.
Some huge healing coming out from them, especially from a Zenyatta.
Yeah, especially from a Zenyatta. Zenyatta, it's so hard um, to make sure that you're doing enough healing, and especially with the kind of dichotomy that Zenyatta has to run, right? They have to do damage to build their transcendence quickly, and then they have to use that transcendence that they've earned from the damage to do that healing.
Yeah, it really is the balance, and like Zenyatta is one of my favorite character designs, I would say, from just about any game. Really kind of embodying the yin and yang that it comes into playing the character. You do have to be putting out, high damage. You have to be putting out that high healing, especially from those transcendents, because there's not really a lot that a lot of healing beyond the transcendence that you can do, except for that healing orb, which honestly doesn't really do a ton. It looks like right now we are seeing MVP for the crew for Choi and Kitty Cat Paw, um, with a complete tie.
That's very interesting. I mean, it's definitely hard to pick between those two. I think the chat has it absolutely right. I mean, you can go both ways. They both had some really strong plays. Choyman on the Reinhardt mostly. I know they did switch to Winston a couple times. That didn't really work as well. But on the Reinhardt, they made some huge plays, especially on that second point of King's Row, where it looked like they lost the fight, and then they just finished off three themselves. And it was really impressively done as well. Speaking of impressive, we do have Mathlete here, the Reinhardt player for CC Vortex that has won the MVP of the game. How's it going today, Mathlete?
Oh, pretty fine. And you?
Oh, I'm doing great, thanks. It was a bit one-sided, but it was still a fun game to watch. So something me and Angels have been talking about here about your Reinhardt play today. Just walk us through your mind chat when you go for one of those sneaky bumper shatters, hiding behind the other team.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that for like many years. That's still fun when you can get like the entire team shatter. And that's the enemy team can be a bit mad about that, because that's a bit cheesy, like a cheesy shatter. So that's still always fun to do one.
I
Yeah,
got a
absolutely.
question. Are you Canadian?
Yeah, I'm French Canadian.
Nice.
Oh, cool. So
Bo-
we're
both
all
casters are
Canadian here.
Canadian.
Yeah. No, but with those like those sneaky shatters as well, it's not even the most impressive part to land them, right? The impressive part is you're leaving your team kind of exposed for a moment, but you were still able to get that shatter down, and then you with the rest of CZ Vortex were able to clean up and get those kills and get value out of that shatter. So like what is it that the rest of your team is doing to make sure that those shatters work?
So our brig is doing a lot of job. Like sometime with like the shield bash. Also, our Zen can follow up with the Discord. Like when the enemy run is getting Discord, you need to play way more passive than when he's not Discord. So that's just like a team play like that with like basic cooldowns that make like a good shatter a good shatter.
That makes sense. And kind of on the back of that, what what is your philosophy for your team for running goats, right? Because not obviously not everyone runs it anymore. With the 2-2 roll lock, it's kind of more of a niche thing. But what do you think it is that makes a good goats team successful?
I think we need to play like for the space, like controlling like with the walls and like playing on the objective. Like you don't have to play the high ground, and that's one of the good point of the goat. Like when you're playing, for example, brawl or double shield, you have to control the high ground. But on the goat, you don't have like a big poke, so you can just like play without your brain and just like press W. So that's the best part of the goat. Not gonna lie.
I'm 100% with you on that. As somebody that does play some Reinhardt, I remember when goats was a thing. Yeah, you just get to walk forward and hope for the best. Aegis, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I would say we saw a lot of strength out of the main tanks today. What's your communication structure like working with your off tanks now that you have two of them? How are you finding it? I would say different. Consistently having both off tanks available as your main tank. What's that communication structure like now that we've seen more of this 2-2-2 roll lock, versus having just the two tanks?
I mean, Orza need to call like the bubble. He can actually he is the DPS of the team. So the Zara and the Zen can call like the low targets, and Ordiva is not doing like that much call out because like she's just like using Matrix and a follow up on like the Discord and shit like that. This is not like a big. I mean, there is not like a big call to do. Like I think the the Ren and the Lucio are doing the most important call with the Zen with the Discord. So yeah, the off tank, I don't think they really have to say a lot to be like useful for the team.
Cool. So once again, Mathlete, congratulations. It was a great showing on the Reinhardt. It was really fun to watch, and I believe now CZ Vortex in this tournament is 5-0, so you're still unbeaten. So well done there.
For
Uh,
6-0, we beat
6-0.
the other team like against being retired. That was a great match, a close one.
Okay. Okay, that would have been prospect. Sorry, I was looking at maybe an older table here, but either way, you're still undefeated. There's still the 0 in the loss column, so gotta be happy about that. So thank you once again, Mathlete, and for Aegis and for Lindsay, our producer that does gives us all those great looks and does a lot of work in the back end today. I'd like to say thank you for everyone at Prospect eSports Showdown in this Ghost tourney. Sorry. Sorry, I'm being told we are going to get a couple more interviews here, so we're going to wait for those interviews as well. But that I think that's it for Mathlete. So once again, Mathlete,
Thank
thank you for
you.
your time, and have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Goodbye.
So we will just wait to see who else is going to come in as the results of the polls come in, and it looks like next on the list is Kitty Cat Paw from the crew, the Zenyatta player. How's it going, Kitty Cat Paw?
I'm doing good. rough match, but
Yeah, yeah, it was a little bit of a rough match for sure. But how do you feel about your Zen play specifically yourself? Because I think you did really have some strong moments.
I mean, I could have played better. Honestly, I missed a lot of shots that could have switched to the way fights went. But overall, I did the best that I could, and I'm actually kind of glad of how well we did because I personally know Mathlite. He's one of my old teammates. We used to play on a team together for like a year ago, and so it's been fun to play against him again.
Yeah, it's always fun to play against old teammates because then especially if you eliminate them or get one over on them, you can always kind of rub that in.
Yeah.
With that match today, like what are your plans for you and the rest of the team going forward? Is there anything you're going to be focusing on or like anything you want to improve?
I think it's gonna be mostly just having fun. We're like I said last time I got the interview. We're just a group of friends, like trying to have fun playing
Yeah.
goats because most of us, most of the team wasn't even playing Overwatch in a competitive sense when goats was a thing. Like
Yeah, it's
they maybe just started playing the game when goats was a thing.
So
yeah,
how
it's
have you found the difference then? I guess so. If most people have started when post goats, how has that adjustment been for your team?
Well, it's it's not really been that complicated because it's a essentially a brawl comp and everyone knows how to play those. So it's not
mm,
it's a just a different kind of brawl comp. So it's not that complicated. It's just getting used to not having a DPS really.
that's a good point too. There's always going to be different considerations that you have to make when you do have those different compositions. We're also joined by Mighty Owl, who I believe is the coach of the crew. Is that right, Mighty
No,
Owl?
incorrect. I'm one of their like players or I
Yeah.
guess alternates, I should say.
Okay.
Not a coach. I'm not
Okay.
at that skill level yet.
So
Anyways.
I did see you in the lobby, so you were spectating today. So
Mhm.
what about this match interested you today?
Well, since I'm part of the crew, it's more of like being their cheerleader and supporting them and watching them. That's why.
Yeah, and that's always like a very important part, especially like I've been there before where you get 3-0'd by somebody in a tournament setting and it does kind of suck, right? So it's always good to have that person there to help them out and keep the spirits up. But just another question just about you. So when you do play sub in, what roles do you normally play?
I am typically the main tank, so I would be playing Rhine
Mhm.
in the GOATS tournament. There
Cool.
was a switch on the last game that the crew had where Ricky went the main tank and I went the support on Brig, but that's not usually the case.
Yeah. So, Adros, did you have any questions for our guests at all?
I guess just like looking from the outside, we had talked about some like aggression. We saw that Vortex was coming in, initiating with ultimates, initiating with some of the sneaky remake kills, the sneaky shatters and things like that. Um, is there a style differential that you saw there, especially as I guess, more objective observer, that you would say you would like to work on there?
Mighty.
Oh, that was directed to me?
Yeah, sorry. As a main tank, I would say like
Okay.
just two different styles came in there.
All right. Well, being coached most of the time, if you can set the tempo, then the odds are much better in your favor. I don't hopefully that answered the question. So preferably, the faster you play, the better, because that means the more team fights you have, the more chances you can win.
Definitely. No, that completely makes sense. It's the tempo is such a tough thing to set. And it does become so important. So, and it can come down to the way that your main tank plays, whether it is more of that aggression and moving in, uh, or the more kind of reactive play, as we do see some teams play as well.
Right. And I know it also boils down to like communication between the Rhine and the Lucio and when to ask for speed and that planning.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. Yeah, so I think, and hopefully I'm not wrong again here, but I believe that is everyone that we will be interviewing today. So um so I actually sorry, we have one more person to come in. Fern from Vortex is going to drop by, the Diva player. So thank you to Mighty Owl and Kitty Kappa. It was a good game today, and we'll talk to you later.
Yes, best
Yeah,
of luck out
thanks.
there. Bye.
Hey Fern, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you guys?
I'm pretty good, thank you. So that was quite the match there. We were just talking to Mathlete about their sneaky Earth Shatters. And speaking of sneaky, how badly were you looking for those remake kills?
Um, I was I was hounding our Zarya player, making sure he had a bubble at all times for me. I was yelling at him, just do you have bubble? Do you have bubble? Bubble me, bubble me, bubble me.
Yeah,
As I was going for those because I didn't want to get stunned because their brig was catching on that I was doing that a lot, so she was looking to stun me.
that's good to know that they're like premeditated remake kills. I like it when it's not just a mistake, right? Like you're going in there looking for that, and it was really fun to watch. And now like getting back to kind of a goats conversation as a diva player, what is it that you like about goats?
Um, I mean, like what do you mean? Like what I'm looking to do, or just what I think is fun?
Either one.
Um, Something I like to do. I don't know if this is the correct way to play Diva and Goats, but I like looking for the Zenyatas in the back and just assassinating them, just really quick with a burst combo. And
Yeah,
that's the thing that I think is the most fun. But I'm
I know
also a
Matt.
Genji player, so I'm like assassin blood runs through my veins. I
I was
see
gonna
Squishy, I
say,
need to kill.
yeah. So that's in your DNA. You see a Zenyatta in the back, and you're like, I'm getting them. Yeah, and Matthew was kind of talking about that too. How you were on the diva, you were trying to focus, enemies that were discorded and trying to confirm those kills as well.
Yeah, I think our flex support is a little quiet about his Discord, so if I ever see someone Discord, I try to echo because I'm pretty loud.
Yeah, yeah.
So I usually try to echo and I'm focusing them.
That's
Especially when we're in like fights that we're down. I'll try and like take over comms for a sec. Try and turn the
yeah.
fight.
You
That's a
were
really good way to.
consistently winning fights that you were down, which is pretty rare in goats. Like it's not often you see a 5v6 go the way of the 5 in goats. So obviously those comms are working.
Mm.
Yeah, 100% they were, and you can see it in the results with the 3-0 for CC Vortex. So for the rest of the tournament, as you guys have started off very strong on CC Vortex, what are you looking to accomplish for the rest of the tournament?
Um, I mean, we were looking for a perfect record at first. You know, like no not dropping no maps. But against Prospect Solo Alt Academy, the team we played earlier this week, we drew a map. So we don't have a perfect map differential, or I guess we still have a perfect map differential. But we don't have like a perfect map record. So I
Yeah,
guess we're kind of just trying to preserve that going through the tournament
I mean, if
and
you
eventually
if
come out
you
with the win.
if you finish the tournament with only one drawn map and the rest of them won, I'd consider that a success. So hopefully everyone at CC Vortex can get through and get that done. And I would like to thank you, Fern, for the interview. And I promise, I know Fern, you haven't been here the whole time, but I promise this is the last time I will be saying this. For every near Prospects eSports Showdown, I am Newbeat here with Ageless. And thanks again to Lindsay for doing our production today for this match in the GOATS tournament, and we will talk to you next time.